The search is on for 10 men who've escaped after an attack on a military base in Venezuela. The authorities said 20 people carried out a small rebellion at the base in Valencia. 8 have been arrested, 2 more were killed. Some of the alleged plotters got away with weapons stolen from the base. Senior military officials are said to have condemned the assault during a meeting with President Nicolas Maduro. In his weekly TV programme, the president called the incident a terrorist attack and vowed to ask for the maximum sentence for those involved in the alleged plot. The maximum penalty is currently 30 years in jail. Maduro said there will be no leniency for either civilians or deserters. Members of Venezuela's opposition have dismissed government reports of a united military. Leading government critic Enrique Capriles voiced his suspicions. We do not believe that the whole military family is what the military leadership says it is, because all Venezuelans today, the vast majority of Venezuelans, are facing the same problems. Following the assault in Valencia, activists there clashed with security forces. The incident highlights how volatile Venezuela is after 4 months of sustained anti-government protests over what the opposition calls the country's slide into dictatorship.
Latest figures suggest more people died crossing the border from Mexico to the United States in the first 7 months of 2017 compared to the same period last year. The International Organization for Migration says 232 migrants have died so far in 2017 compared to 204 in the first 7 months of 2016. That's an increase of 17%. Experts say the figures are particularly shocking as significantly fewer people seem to be attempting to make the crossing. The US Border Patrol says the figure is down by around half. 267,746 people were apprehended in 2016 compared to 140,024 in 2017.
US Vice President Mike Pence has described a New York Times article suggesting he's considering running for president in 2020 as disgraceful and offensive. The article claims some Republicans are moving to form a shadow campaign as though President Donald Trump were not involved. In a rare statement reacting to a newspaper article, Pence used social media to say the allegations were false and his entire team was focused on advancing Trump's agenda and seeing him re-elected in 2020. The report in the widely respected New York Times said Pence had not only kept a full political calendar, but had also created his own independent power base, including a political fundraising group called the Great American Committee. It alleged the vice president had shrugged off warnings from some high-profile Republicans that such a committee would create speculation about his intentions. To date, Pence has presented himself as a firm Trump loyalist, with little distinction between his public statements and the policies of the president. But Trump is under growing pressure over legislative failures and investigations into links between his aides and family members and Russia.
I love to play this.
2 Chinese tourists have been arrested in Berlin, accused of making the Nazi salute outside the German parliament. In a case that's made headlines around the world, it's reported the men have been charged under post-World War II legislation that bans symbols and gestures used by Hitler. Police say officers witnessed the middle-aged men make the salute while snapping photos on their mobile phones. It's reported the men have been released on a bail of €500. The charges carry a fine or up to 3 years in prison.
Israel is seeking to close Al Jazeera's bureau in Jerusalem and revoke its journalists' media credentials. It also intends to pull the Qatar-based station's broadcast from local cable and satellite providers. Communications Minister Ayub Kara accused the channel of supporting terrorism and said the measures were aimed at bolstering Israel's security. Lately, almost all countries in our region have determined that Al Jazeera supports terrorism, supports religious radicalism. Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt. We also intend to join them at a summit focused on regional political, economic and even defence agreements. The move to expel Al Jazeera was first voiced by Israel's Prime Minister 2 weeks ago when he accused the channel of fueling the recent violence at a holy site in Jerusalem. Al Jazeera has come under attack from several governments in the region to the concern of free press campaigners.
North Korea has denounced the latest UN sanctions against it, vowing to take action in response. Earlier, South Korea's President Moon spoke by phone with President Trump, the two leaders agreeing to continue putting pressure on Pyongyang over its nuclear program. US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, speaking at a forum in the Philippines, said the support of China and Russia for the sanctions sent a strong message to North Korea.
We're not going to give someone a specific number of days or weeks. This is really about the spirit of these talks, and they can demonstrate they're ready to sit with a spirit of finding a way forward in these talks by no longer conducting these missile tests. So this is not give me 30 days and we're ready to talk. It's not quite that simple.
But there's no sign of an opening towards dialogue from North Korea. Despite a warning from China and a face-to-face meeting with his South Korean counterpart, Pyongyang's foreign minister reportedly rejected the proposal for talks, and state media have since angrily dismissed the UN sanctions.
Preparations are underway for Tuesday's hotly contested general election in Kenya amid fears it will trigger ethnic violence between rival supporters. The torture and killing in recent days of a key election official in charge of the electronic voting system has some concern about the possibility of vote tampering. Tuesday's poll sees President Uhuru Kenyatta once again being challenged by the long-term opposition rival Raila Odinga. On Sunday, during a church visit, the president urged Kenyans to accept the election result, whichever way it goes. We're here to ask God to give us a peaceful election and to keep us united as one through the choices that will be made via the votes of Kenyans. We will accept the results, bearing in mind that Kenya will still exist after these elections. Sunday saw the opposition hold their last election rally. Although some opinion polls give Kenyatta a slight lead, Odinga claims the only way the president can win is by rigging the vote. If the opposition feels cheated, then Odinga may call for demonstrations, as happened in 2007, which led to the deaths of over 1,200 people.
Pero din na momento, oras pang espasyo komersyal, oras nos tabak ng informe ng Deportivo.